All right. So, at high school, at Parkway schools, this is an interesting week for. I think we're going to have to move Rodney to 7:35 if we can. But it's an interesting week for free speech because we have a situation. First of all, outside of boroughs. Izzy actually is on her way to school there, where the Westboro Baptist Church, and these are awful people. And yes, in America like this, where we have to put up with all varieties of different viewpoints, that's kind of what we're all about. But that doesn't mean we have to put up with them, as in not talk back to them. And these folks have decided that they're going to picket a young man who had the temerity, apparently, to say that he's gay. And so now they decided they're going to stand outside of a school and harass not only the student, Jake Bain, but also then the school itself. Hi, Izzy. Thanks for calling the show.
Hi.
Hi. You're a student at John Burroughs, right?
Yes, I'm a junior at John Burroughs, and I actually just got here. And while the picket doesn't start until 7:45, we all have people meeting, and we're all talking, and we have speakers coming here who are alumni of the school, and we're all talking and just uniting before we have to face such hate on our front.
Right. And and this is the way it should be, where you have those people out there, but you know what? You have voices too. And you're making full use of them, which is, I think, a really important thing.
Yes, we have. That's what the head of school told us. That's what all of our school leaders have told us, and our teachers, that we can stand strong against these people who we obviously don't even want to recognize because they're just not worth that much. Right.
And the key here is that I'm sure Jake and I'm sure the rest of you all are fine, thank you very much. But nonetheless, you're not intimidated by these people. But nonetheless, it's important for you to actually, it's one thing to just drive by them and do whatever, but it's another thing to kind of coalesce and come together and do your own messaging, which I think is important. You could just ignore them and go to school and do whatever, but the fact that you're able to come together and have your own formulation of messaging, I think, is really cool.
Yes, thank you. It really means a lot. We're all united here.
Yeah. Izzy, what do you want to do when what are you looking towards after you graduate?
Well, I'm looking to go the pre-med route. A lot of kids here do that, and I'm just looking to go into pediatrics is what I really would like to do.
Well, good for you. Well, and thanks for calling the show. I really appreciate that. We do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good luck out there. Stand tall, and if going to Burroughs isn't hard enough anyway, because they they work these kids to the bone at Burroughs. I guarantee you.
They definitely do.
Well, that's good because it's worth every penny. Then
Yes, definitely. Your dad would say that.
Yeah, your dad definitely would say that. And Izzy, your parents are lucky to have you, and so are we. So we appreciate you calling the show.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, they do. Burroughs is a tough place. Great school, great kids, and
cool that she called in.
Yeah,
that's cool awesome. That she's listening. And
something tells me she's going to be a pediatrician sooner rather than later. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Now, also, then we have another free speech situation on our hands, and I'm not quite sure we're going to have as many diversity of voices here, which we probably should, but we don't. There is about 7 paragraphs written by the superintendent of Parkway Schools and a note that's convoluted and unintelligible, basically, about what they're going to do about this walkout event, organized, by the way, by the Women's March, which is staffed and by a harem that loves them some Louis Farrakhan, who is an anti-Semite and radical, and they've somehow convinced the PTOs around the nation to get behind this national walkout. Now, there's no question that we all are perfectly okay with students who are traumatized and who are certainly wanting to exercise their freedom, which they're doing at John Burroughs in the face of Westboro Baptist Church. And it doesn't surprise me that kids want to coalesce and talk about guns, whatever. But the question, and Jeanie Ames, who is running for the Parkway School Board, at Jeanie for Parkway, jeanieforparkway.com. The question, though, is let's pretend that there are other voices out there, Jeanie Ames, that don't agree with necessarily what the walkout is about and want to have their own kind of demonstration, so to speak. And you're wondering, and you wondered out loud, and we talked a little bit yesterday via text, whether or not those voices will be heard, whether this is actually going to be a true free speech event.
Yes. Actually, first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I just want to say, I want to answer your question right away, but how articulate is Izzy?
I know.
She just did an amazing job and really represented herself, her cause, and her school so well.
Yes.
I mean, did a great job. And
right.
Everyone, all the students at Burroughs are very brave and are extremely dedicated, and I think they're doing absolutely the right thing, and more power to them.
Right on.
And, well, exactly what you were saying is, first of all, the walkout is sponsored by the Women's March, and not just myself, but I've been contacted by and had conversations with a lot of Parkway parents who are not concerned about the kids' right to assemble or protest or show their, defend their opinions, and in their minds stand in solidarity with the victims of the tragedy in Parkland.
Yes.
That's not the issue. The issue is there are different voices. This is a two-sided issue, and both sides are very emotionally vested. And I know that just students I know personally wanted to know if, as the superintendent stated, they support the constitutional right to free speech, particularly when it is peaceful and respectful. Well, if students that support their Second Amendment rights would like to sort of hold a counter-protest peacefully and respectfully, would the same sort of magnanimous leniency that the district and the superintendent are showing to the other students be shown to them? And there are also a couple of other logistical questions that we have about class coverage, if teachers are going to be allowed to protest as well, which, by their First Amendment rights they should, but who's going to be covering classes for those students who choose not to participate in this? And I think, actually, rather than get into a for or against argument, there is an amazing alternative that was first proposed by the 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control's post. They posted it on Facebook, and I'm not going to take credit for finding it. It was a mom in the Parkway West District, and this is just amazing. And I'm going to read it. It's very quick. Instead of walking out to school on March 14th, encourage students to walk up. Walk up to the kid who sits alone at lunch and invite them to sit with your group. Walk up to the kid who sits quietly in the corner of the room and sit next to her. Smile and say hi. Walk up to the kid who causes disturbances in class and ask how he's doing. Walk up to your teachers and thank them. Walk up to someone that you know has different views than you do and get to know them. You may be surprised how much you have in common. Build on that foundation instead of casting stones. I challenge students to find 14 students and 3 adults to walk up to and say something nice in honor of those who died in Florida on the 14th of March. But you can start practicing now and do it as many times as you want. To me, that is a way of leaving something behind that really represents and stands up for the victims in Parkland, Florida, and the victims of all school shootings. I think that's a way of making schools a much more a place that lives up to the Parkway mission, which is, capable, confident, caring, curious students.
Well, because Jeanie, isn't that really? I mean, if we really want to get right down to it, we don't need to do all the nuts and bolts of what led to the shooting. But if you really want to look at an issue, we already have seen constant issues regarding the actual person who did the shooting. And it appears to me that there weren't enough people who, in fact, they went the opposite direction. Apparently, there were kids now who say, I wish I didn't bully this guy. I wish I didn't push this guy around his whole life. And so apparently, really, if you really want to get right down to the root lead up to the shooting, a lot of it has to do with that lack of any kind of interpersonal outreach to this young man. It's pretty clear that this guy was pushed around, bullied, and then basically left to his own devices when he clearly had problems. Left to his own devices by the police, left to his own devices by the school. It was just, so if anything, the walk up seems to be a lot more effective than whatever they're doing here.
I absolutely agree. And I think to that point, when we're talking about what we can do to prevent this situation from happening again, to prevent another tragedy like this, although it may not be fully preventable, the mental health issue and a simple act of kindness are correlated. Those people that are struggling with mental health issues, that find themselves isolated, those are the people that we need to reach out to the most. And by standing outside for 17 minutes, we're not doing that.
Well, now let's imagine then that there are some people who take on that particular demonstration. The Dr. Marty has indicated that all views will be respected.
Yes.
Do you think that that's true? Let's say there's somebody out there saying, because apparently it's about gun violence, mental health, and safety concerns. And
right.
let's say there's a student out there who believes that they would like to see their teachers armed. Do you think that those views, and I'm not saying you support that. Will those views be respected too?
No, absolutely not. They will not be. And a lot of that has to do with the PNEA. A lot of that has to do with the current administration and their politically and socially motivated attitudes. And
right.
I think that that's one of the reasons I think a lot of parents were asking, would students who wanted to peacefully and respectfully counter-protest, not necessarily about arming teachers, because quite honestly, I think right now, the two very emotional camps, people that really want to limit gun rights and advocate for more gun control, are on one side, and people who want to, fortify the schools and arm every teacher are on the other side.
Right,
and I think we're still too close to the situation. There are things we can do immediately, like spend some money on making sure the offices are more accessible by the front doors of buildings. We need to figure out things we can do immediately in Parkway and how we need to adjust the budget for more immediate, common sense, practical security measures.
Right. Well, I noticed in Dr. Marty's note that issue was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs down and pretty much to the end. So maybe that should have been the first paragraph, not the last one. But Jeanie Ames, we'll see you at the Parkway Forum tonight. We'll get the information up there. Best of luck with all that. Thank you so much for all you do. And JeanieForParkway.com is the website, at JeanieForParkway on Twitter as well. Thanks for your input. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Have a great day. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's Jeanie Ames. Yeah, look at the note. Overall level of safety and security in all our schools makes it to the last paragraph of the note to the parents. Probably should be the first one.